Hi everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. Tonight we're going to be continuing on with the digital toolkit, and we're going to be looking at identifying the digital communication mix. We're specifically going to be talking about advertising. So online advertising is a form of promotion that uses the internet and the web for the express purpose of delivering marketing messages to attract customers. You're probably very familiar with lots of different types of online advertising, and you're perhaps even advertising yourself through your business. But examples of online advertising can include search engine adverts, banner ads, rich media ads, social networking ads, and advertising through things like classifieds. In the UK, the UK advertising spend market is worth over £3.975 billion, so it is a huge part of digital marketing. So the multiple different types of ads that you can have. A floating ad is an ad that moves across a user's screen or floats into context. An expanding ad is an ad which changes in size whenever you, say, roll over it or whenever you scroll up or down a page. A polite ad is a method by which a large ad is downloaded into smaller pieces and minimised to sort of not disrupt you as much whenever you are travelling on your user journey. A wallpaper ad is an ad which changes the background of a web page. A trick banner is a banner that looks like it's a dialog box with buttons or something that kind of flashes or simulates an error message. They're usually found on they wouldn't be found on like popular websites, probably on forums and some blogs. You'll sometimes see that type of an advert. And a pop under is an ad which opens underneath a website. You don't see them as often as you used to, but it's maybe something it's quite distracting for users, so a lot of advertisers tend not to use them anymore. A pop under is one that will appear after you've left a website, so it's maybe something that is pulled in behind it. So whenever you close the window, it's there in the background, and again, not very often used. A video ad is similar to a banner ad, except obviously it is replacing the static image with moving video clips. A map ad is a text or graphic ad that appears on or over a location, such as in Google Maps. A mobile ad, an SMS text or multimedia message that's sent out through your phone, and intertraditional ad, a full page ad that appears before a user reaches the original destination. So an ad that kind of appears in between your journey. So you sometimes see them if you're maybe on a travel website and you're navigating from one part to the next. There might be a transitional ad that appears in between. So banners and skyscrapers, they're usually quite popular adverts that you'll see all the time, mostly located on a third-party website, which will help you to advertise your product and service. They're various different sizes and contexts, and they're generally, that is defined by the third-party site. So if you take an example of a website like Property News, where they will have multiple different ads that can be placed on their site, you can then procure that position, provide an advertisement for that space, and if someone clicks on it, they'll come through to your website. So there's lots of different examples of how to procure banner advertising. You can procure it directly with the site. So for example, via the site like Property News, you can procure banner advertising through an agent, such as Sales Online. So you could go to an agent and say, I would like to target women aged 35 to 45 who are interested in shopping, and they'll maybe come back and say, right, well, here is a selection of websites that we think you should put your advertising on, and they will be able to then procure that advertising on your behalf. Google AdWords also acts as an agent, so any website can sign up to be a Google partner and provide space on their website for other people to advertise on. So as an advertiser, you can sign up via Google AdWords and say, I would like to place my advert on, say Property News, because you can buy ad space through the likes of Google for websites like Property News. And you can say, well, I want to be on Property News, I want to be on Belfast Telegraph, and I want to be on UTV, because I think that my product and my target audience, my product and service will be applicable to the people who are on those websites, and then you can procure that space through that site. So just to give you some examples here, On the right hand side there, that Gala Bingo ad is what you usually call a skyscraper, and then you've got an advert down the bottom there, which would be a banner ad, and then you've got some sponsored links there, so they're like more text adverts. This is an example of a wallpaper ad, so you see there the background, and then this Xbox ad on the right that's circled in red is actually an animated ad. So you can see in this particular case, Xbox have procured various different spots on the MSN homepage to try and draw attention of a new product that they've launched. Video ads. So video ads have grown massively since over the last while, and they're only going to grow more and more. So you see there in that chart the UK video programmatic market size and share, and how that has grown and will continue to grow between now and 2020. So 23% of UK video marketers spend 21 to 40% of their video ad budget on programmatic. So now with the increase in people creating more dynamic content and doing more content marketing, creating videos, creating how-tos, blogging, vlogging, you now need to support that with advertising. So a lot more marketeers are now investing in marketing and promoting their video adverts. So this is an example of some video ads. So you'll see the first screen grab is on a mobile. As soon as I signed into YouTube, I was immediately given a video ad. So you'll see there the Volkswagen ad, and there's a little ad yellow box beside it, so you can clearly distinguish that is an advert. You'll see on the right hand side a screen grab from a desktop on YouTube as well, that you have various promoted videos on the right hand side. So video ad promotion is becoming more and more prominent. Social advertising. So 15% of UK consumers said they have browsed a retailer site after seeing a social ad. So consumers are being more and more impacted by what they see on social media. And as marketeers, you need to think about where your audience is spending their time. So you will sometimes have to procure social advertising to increase the reach of your social media messages. UK Facebook ads grew considerably since 2013. CPC is up 111%, CTR is up 14%, and CPM is up 48%. CPC is an abbreviation of the paid search advertising term cost per click. So really what that means is whenever you procure advertising through a vendor, whether that's social or that's Google, you can request to pay the CPC. So that is the cost per click. So every time somebody clicks on your advert, only then do you pay. So that generally means that you get quite a large amount of impressions, and then your clicks, you only pay per click. So the cost per click is all that you will actually pay. The CTR is the click-through rate. So that means the amount of time your advert has incurred an impression divided by the amount of times that it's being clicked on, and that gives you what is called the click-through rate. And CPM is another method of procuring advertising, and that's cost per 1,000 impressions. And what that means is you pay per 1,000 impressions. So the opposite model to the CPC model, where you would say, I will pay £5 per 1,000 impressions. And generally an advertiser will say, well, you have to buy a minimum of 500,000 impressions or 1 million impressions. On a CPC model, you will generally say how much you're willing to pay maximum cost per click. So say I'm willing to pay up to £1 per click, and I have a budget of £20 per day, and then the advertiser will show your advert until you hit your budget on that day, and then your advert will come off. And that method of payment is pretty consistent across all online advertising, not just social. So here's some examples of some social media advertising. I'm sure you're all quite familiar with Facebook, but what I've done here is broken this up into two screens. So you have the mobile view on the left, And what this is showing you is a sponsored ad within your newsfeed. So you can see here how it just looks like a normal newsfeed listing, but it has a very small sponsored under in grey just underneath the page name. On the right hand side you'll see the same as well, that Marks and Spencer's ad is sponsored. And actually this is a remarketing ad because I was looking at that dress yesterday on Marks and Spencer's website. So very clever that they're now showing that to me again because I didn't buy it. On the right hand side, further to the right again, in the green box you have sponsored click to website ads. So they're not as obvious because they're not in your newsfeed and they're only available on a desktop. But it is another way to try and push people through to your website from social media. These two screens, the first screen is a Twitter mobile ad, so you'll see there again just in the normal newsfeed, but this is a small promoted notification just under the advert. And in Instagram you'll have the same again, so it just looks like your normal newsfeed, but it does say that it is sponsored. So you can see just a slight variation of how social advertising is displayed in mobile and through the different social media channels. So ad blocking, this is I suppose one of the bigger trends that is emerging over 2016 is that a lot of consumers now are very savvy when it comes to online advertising. So they will have ad blockers on their PCs or on their mobile devices, which does make it more difficult for marketeers to really reach customers with new messages. So I thought it would be interesting just to pull out some of the latest statistics on ad blocking. Because although online advertising is a really powerful marketing tool, with the increase in things like ad blocking, it does mean that marketers just need to be a little bit more savvy in terms of how they're advertising to people and to understand the implications and the potential risks that ad blockers can cause. So 46% of UK ad blocker users said that they would whitelist ads on a site they find valuable. So users aren't saying we don't not want to see any adverts. They're just saying they want ads that are more relevant to them, and they would prefer to be more in control of what they see. 18% of British adults online use ad blockers, and that's up from 15% in June 2015. So over the last year, that is slowly increasing, and I would say over the next year it will increase more. Ad blocking is more prevalent amongst British men than women, and the propensity to block ads decreases with age, so 35% from 18 to 24, 13% from people 55 plus, and that's probably just, I would say, tech savviness, people being more tech savvy and realising that actually I don't need to look at these adverts, I can block them. 57% of British online people who have ever downloaded ad blocking software said their main motivation was to block all ads. 20% said that the main reason was to block certain types of ads or ads from certain websites. So we are dealing with a very tech savvy audience, and consumer power, if we go back to week 1, whenever we looked at the power of the consumer, with things like ad blocking, the consumer has a lot more power on what they see and what they don't see, what they want to see, what they want to see more of. So as marketers, we do have to take that into consideration whenever we're looking at all the different marketing channels. So I'm going to move on now to talk about PPC. So PPC stands for pay per click. It's an internet advertising model used on websites where you can advertise to pay for a click from your website through to another website. Most pay-per-click marketing is carried out in search engines, where advertisers typically bid on a keyword or phrase that is relevant to their target audience, and then they pay per click when someone clicks on that through to their website. There's lots of pay-per-click providers. The largest are Google AdWords, Yahoo, and Microsoft. Although I think they're now renamed Bing. And they all operate on a cost per click model. So as I explained earlier, you only pay when someone clicks on your advert. So Google is the biggest ad network platform and has over 456 million unique visitors per month, 2.5 billion page views per day, and is 90% reach. So I think 90%, I think the latest statistics, something like 91% of people use Google whenever they're searching for something online. It is one of the top websites in the world, so if you are going to be trying to pay pay for advertising, pay for search advertising, it makes a lot of sense to use the Google network. So I'm going to just mostly look at the Google network today, but the same principles of pay-per-click marketing are universal across any type of marketing platform. So before we go on to talk about pay-per-click, I just wanted to quickly differentiate the difference between pay-per-click marketing and SEO. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and something that we haven't looked at just yet, but the two work very much hand in hand. So you'll see in this little graph here in terms of how pay-per-click and organic work together. So an organic listing in a search engine is non-paid. So it'll be based on the relevancy of that website and what someone has typed into Google. And a paid ad will be bid for, so it'll be procured based on what the person has typed into a search engine. Paid and organic search work very well together. A lot of my customers would see that their SEO, so their organic search, their non-paid search, and their PPC, so their paid search, need to work together. And quite a lot of the time, you're looking at optimizing the same keywords and phrases, and pay-per-click can be used as a quick strategy to gain a search engine ranking for something that organically you have not been able to achieve just yet. So some PPC statistics. In the UK, spend on paid search increased 20% in Q4 of 2015. Google accounted for 91% of search ad spend. 17% of UK companies engaged in search marketing activity and were spending in between £100,000 and £500,000 per year on paid search. It is a huge channel. It is a huge way of pushing traffic through to your website and gaining more exposure. So quite a lot of marketeers would adopt pay-per-click marketing as a regular, we would always term it as, say, always on digital marketing activity. On average, UK companies engaged in search marketing say 9% of their Google ad spend goes in the Google display network. So Google has two methods of advertising. So the first method of advertising is through the search network. So that's if someone types into Google and they're looking for a specific result, then that you can appear in front of them. And the other type of way that you can buy advertising through Google is through the display network, where you would be able to post banners, banner ads, video ads on other people's websites or in mobile apps, for example. So what are the benefits of pay-per-click marketing? It's instant. It's really easy and quick to set up. Once a payment is taken, your ads will show immediately, and you can make changes instantly. So unlike traditional advertising, if something's gone to print and you've noticed a spell mistake, it can't be easily rectified. Whereas in pay-per-click marketing, you can easily change adverts instantly. It's very targeted. I'm going to talk about targeting a little bit more in more detail later, but you can dictate exactly who sees your advert and when they see it. So for example, if you sell furniture in London and you have an advert set up for people who live in the area at specific times, only then will they see your advert. Other people won't be able to see it. So it is very, very targeted. It's very controllable, so you can dictate and control your budget and your maximum cost per click. So generally how it works is you bid, so you say I'm willing to pay up 10p per click for keywords associated with my business, and I have a budget of £5 a day. And Google will take that and they will spread your budget across the day, and once it has been reached, your ads will no longer show until the next day. In that sense, it's also really easy to make changes. So if you want to switch it on or off, or have it where only appearing at certain times of the day, then you can do that as well. And it's extremely measurable. PPC, like most digital marketing, provides detailed reporting on clicks, conversions, impressions, and it can be really easy to measure your return on investment. Pay-per-click software usually integrates very seamlessly with your website analytics, and you can see very clearly traffic that has come from a paid search source and what that person then has done on your website and if they have converted, for example. So if you know that you paid 10p for a click, that person came onto your website and they made a purchase of over £100, you'll be able to easily evaluate the return on investment for that particular marketing source. So what can you use PPC for? It's a really great direct form of marketing. It's really good at contacting new customers, informing them about a marketing campaign, and it's a good way to test the market as well to see if there's demand for your particular product or service. Ultimately, it's about driving traffic and about driving sales and conversions online. So I'm just going to run through some key terminology. I'm not going to be showing you how to set up a pay-per-click campaign. This module is more about learning and understanding why you would use pay-per-click marketing and what the benefits would be. So clicks and click-through rate, when someone clicks on your advert, that is when you pay, as I've already discussed. And the click-through rate is measured by the number of impressions divided by the number of clicks. So an impression is whenever your ad has been served, so it has been displayed on a user's tablet or their phone or on the website. So for every impression, then you will pay per click. So you could have 100,000 impressions, but you actually only pay when someone clicks. And the good thing about impressions, if you're in a CPC model, is that they're free, but also that they're very good for brand awareness. Conversion rate is calculated when a user clicks on your adverts and completes a predefined goal. So for example, if you have a goal on your website that you want people to sign up for your newsletter, or it could be obviously you want people to buy something, or you want them to fill out an inquiry form, then that would be your point of conversion. So your conversion rate is measured as the amount of clicks divided by the amount of conversions. And there's a little link there to the Google AdWords glossary, which has lots more key terminology in it if you want to have a look at that. So the pay-per-click channels, so as I mentioned earlier, the three main channels are Google, Yahoo and Microsoft. I think Microsoft's been renamed Bing, but as I said earlier, Google is still by far the biggest channel and has the biggest exposure. You'll see there, and this is actually a screen grab from 2010, but Google is still, it is the #1 website and the #1 search engine in the world. So I'm just going to play this little video about Google AdWords.
Getting your business to appear on Google is easier than you might think. The first step is learning how Google works. When you use Google, you start by entering a search query, and you're quickly taken to your results page for that query. On the left-hand side of this page are the natural search results, based on a complex automated analysis of how relevant the linked sites are likely to be to your search query. You can't directly influence these results. However, there are also text blocks whose contents you can influence. These sponsored links appear on the right-hand side of your search results page, and on some occasions they also appear on the top. When a Google user does a search that is related to your business, you can make sure that a link to your business appears along with their results for that search, and you can choose when and where that ad for your business appears. And getting started is much easier than you might imagine. First, you need to define the potential customers that you would like to see your ad. You can select their language and location by countries, regions or cities. If you are a business based in Leeds, for example, you can choose to show your ad only to people based in Yorkshire. Or, if your service is not location specific, your ad can appear to people across the UK. Secondly, write the ad itself as an introduction to your business. The structure of the ad consists of a title, followed by a couple of lines describing your products or services, and finally, your website address. Third, choose which words, when typed into the Google search box, you want to trigger your ad to appear. These are called keywords, and you should choose the words that you imagine your customers would use to find your type of service or business. If you're a florist, for instance, you might want to start your keyword list with flower delivery. The more precise your keywords, the more likely you are to reach people looking for exactly what your business offers. Finally, choose the maximum you want to pay for each click on your ad and the total budget you want to spend each day. One of the best aspects of AdWords is that when someone searches on one of your chosen keywords and your ad appears on Google, you aren't charged anything. You only pay for your ad when someone clicks on the link through to your website. You're in complete control of every financial aspect of your campaign. How high up the list your sponsored link appears is partly determined by how much you decide you want to pay for each click. However, it is also determined by how relevant your ad is to the search query. Therefore, the more targeted your ad and list of keywords, the less money you will need to spend to ensure your ad appears. Using Google AdWords, you will be advertising your business, but it's nothing like traditional advertising. AdWords is unlike traditional advertising because you choose exactly where and when you want your ads to appear. So only people that are actually searching for what you offer will see them, and you only pay for your ads placement when people actually click on them. You can make changes to your ads whenever you wish, and turn your campaigns on and off at your discretion. And since the price you pay is based on an auction, you may start receiving visitors to your website for only a few pence per click. Finally, there is no minimum spend, and you have complete control of your investment. You know how much you have paid for your visitors at all times, and you can change your daily budget as you wish. So appearing on Google is within the reach of anyone. Are you ready to be found on Google? Go to adwords.google.co.uk and create an account today.
So that little video showed you how Google search works. So there are two distinct parts of Google pay-per-click. There's the search side, and then there's the Google Networks or the Google display side. So within the search side, which is what that video is about, your advert will appear, and it's usually a text advert that'll appear in a search format. The Google display side, you can have lots of different types of adverts, so graphic ads, video ads, audio streams, lots of different formats of ads. So whenever you're targeting within the search Google network, there are several ways in which you can target. So the first and most common way is keyword targeting. So you choose the keywords and phrases that are relevant to your product or service, and based on a user typing those in to Google, your ad will appear. In this sense, it is based on your position. Your advert position will be based on the relevancy of your website to the phrase that you've entered, and the competition and your bid. So basically, you may have a rank 1 to 5 or lower than 5 based on how relevant you are, how much your ad is costing, and what other people are paying for it. The other way that you can target your ads is through location and language. So you can choose languages and locations that are relevant to you. So if you sell pizza in Belfast, you might only want to advertise in Belfast. So you can say your keywords are pizza and your location is Belfast. You can also then narrow that again and target by device. So you can say, I only want to show my advert to people who are on a mobile phone, or I only want to show my advert to people who are on a desktop. And then you can also do audience targeting. So you can say, I only want to target people who have previously visited my website. And this is called remarketing. So what you can do is you can actually set up a specific audience by adding a little piece of software to your website, and Google will sort of collect the cookies and the information from those people, and then it will show your advert to those people who have already been on your site. So that is a very specific targeting method. So I just want to show you the types of ads we're talking about whenever we are looking at the Google Search Network. So this is an example of a search that I've performed, holidays to New York, and you can see there the first three listings are all adverts as defined by the yellow ad box. And if you think about real estate users' attention spans, the first three listings are probably where they're going to go. I would say very few people scroll past, say, 5 or 6. So you see there, that was the first top half of my screen whenever I took the screen grab, and there was 3 paid ads out of those 5 listings that are there. So paid advertising does get a lot of real estate. It does come up top in the search engine results. You'll see here, this is a product search. So there's 2 screens here. There's my mobile phone screen and on the right hand side, the desktop version. So we'll talk about the mobile screen first. You can see there again, real estate's very small, but what I'm actually seeing is the product listing. So this shop on Google is sponsored. That is a paid function, and that's what I see at the top. That is followed then by a paid ad underneath. So really, in that first screen of my mobile, everything was paid. So if you're an advertiser who's trying to get your product out there, it can be very difficult without using something like paid search. On the larger screen, grab from a desktop on the right hand side, you'll see the product listings are moved, so they're now on the right, and you still have your first 3 adverts there. So again, real estate wise, unless you're in that sort of top 5-6 listings, it can be very difficult to generate a lot of traffic without using paid search. Paid search allows you to connect with people locally as well. So this is an example of a device specific ad, and it's also using the functionality called click to call. So that can be really useful whenever you are trying to get people to action from a paid search. And if you're on a mobile, it's likely that someone might just want to quickly phone you. So advertisers who participated in the click to call beta saw a 5 to 30% increase in click-through rates. So really what that is telling us is the more specific that you can be through your targeting, be that by device, by the message, and by the advertising functionality. So for example, a click to call rather than a click through to your website, the easier it will be for a user and the more likely they are to click on it. So targeting in the display network, now there's lots of different ways that you can buy advertising and target your advertising through the display network. So we'll go through each of them in turn. So the first way is contextual targeting, and this type of advertising targeting is used to match your ads to a site or pages, and it's sometimes known as automatic placements. So based on keywords and topics that you have chosen. So Google will look at its network of websites and it will match the keywords and topics that you have chosen with websites that it thinks that you could place adverts on. Then you will give Google your adverts and it will go and publish your adverts on all of these different websites that it believes match based on the keywords and topics that you've selected. You also have the method of keyword targeting in the display network as well. So again, like the search network, you can choose words and phrases that are related to your product and service, and Google will automatically target your ads on those websites in the display network. You have topic targeting, so you can target your ads to multiple pages about specific topics at once. So topic targeting lets you reach a broad range of pages on the display network. Google knows so much about users online now, and knows about their interests, their demographics, and you can really drill into that to understand where your audience are. And that's, I suppose, it goes back to one of our previous weeks where it's so important to know what your customers want online, or who they are, what they do online, so that you can target them better. You can also use location and language targeting in the display network. So again, similar to the search network, you can target by location, geographic, and language. So you can target just where your customers are. So if you want to be putting banner advertisements on websites where people from Belfast are visiting, then that's going to be more relevant to your business. Then you can choose that method of targeting. You can also choose placement targeting, and this is where you can choose a specific website that you want to place your advert on. The website needs to be in Google's display network and you can search and find it. So if I want to advertise in the Belfast Telegraph, I can do that through the Google display network. So I can search the display network and see, is the Belfast Telegraph in their network? I know it is, and then I can select it and say, okay, I want to place my advert here. So it just means that you can be very prescriptive about what websites that you want your adverts to appear on. You've got audience targeting, so you can show your advert to specific groups of people who visit the display network websites and apps. So again, you can then create an audience by demographic, by their interests. So if you want to target women who are parents, who like fashion, for example, you can do that through audience targeting. You can also select what is called an affinity audience, which is, I suppose, it's similar to like a lookalike audience, or if you can actually select an affinity audience based on your competitors. So you could say, well, I would like to target anybody who goes on my competitor's website, and you can do that through Affinity Audiences. So targeting through display network gives you a lot more options than it does just through the search network, where you can target on additional interests, demographics, other people's websites, and other things as well, like devices. So you can choose to show your adverts to different people, whether they're on a desktop or a laptop. One of the ways that we would do this is we would target people on mobiles with download apps adverts. So because obviously they're on their mobile, it'd be a lot easier for them to click to download an app than it would be from a laptop, for example. So the Google Display Network. So just a recap on that. In the search network, it's generally just a text ad, but in the display network, you get the option to have text and image, video, audio based ads, and you can see some of the brand names and websites that are available on those networks. There's a huge amount of websites that are available in the display network, and procuring advertising space through the display network generally works out cheaper than procuring it directly. So for example, if I was to go and buy an advert from Property News directly, they are more likely also to charge a cost per thousand impressions model rather than Google's cost per click model. So you have to say, well, I will give you X amount of money for X amount of thousand impressions, whereas with Google, you can say, I'll only pay whenever someone comes through or clicks on that. So you generally do get a lot more for your money on the display network. So this is an example of a text ad within the display network. So this is up just the Daily Mail. It's usually at the bottom of a lot of the stories, but you can see there, similar to the display that you would get in a Google search results page, but it's within a third-party website. And this is an example of a banner ad within the Google Display Network. So you can procure the mail online through Google Display, and you can see there on the right hand side the West Coast Cooler Fashion Week advert. So I'm just going to take you through a brief case study on pay-per-click marketing before we finish this webinar. It's one of my favourites, compare the market, love it or hate it, compare the meerkat, compare the market. It's a really interesting story how this came about. It was actually born out of the desire to find cheaper search term than compare the market, because insurance is just so competitive. And in order for Compare the Market to enter into a very, very competitive market, they had to come up with something interesting. So their ad agency actually came up with this concept that they would do Compare the Meerkat. So in order for them to bid through pay-per-click marketing on Compare the Market, it was going to cost them £12 or £5 per click for those particular keywords. But with a little bit of lateral thinking and out of the box thinking, they were able to capitalise on creating, I suppose, their own demand, their own brand around Meerkat, and that was costing them a fraction of the pay-per-click spend. So obviously big budgets in terms of TV and social media and other outdoor all those different marketing channels were around this and pushing the demand, but it was really very clever to see how they were able to monopolise on paid search and used paid search to influence their entire digital marketing strategy, I suppose. So that is this afternoon's or this evening's webinar. Thanks very much.